What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. If there has ever been a time to not wake up late, it would have been today because how the market opened. I'm not too sure if you guys are seeing overall market conditions and how JNUG is pulling back and how you guys is pulling back and how we called out DGAS, we called out JDST, and they are all pushing up. And I hope that you guys were still able to take advantage of it. I'm not too sure if you guys have ever done this, but like I had my alarm set and I woke up at like 5:30 and everything was all good, right? Market opens at 6:30 and I'm gonna just open this just because I know that's what you guys want to see. But have you guys ever done this where it's like, okay, I set my alarm, I'm up, I'm ready, and then I was just like, I don't actually have to be up till 6. I'm gonna close my eyes for about like 5 more minutes. 1 hour later, yeah, did not work out as planned. So I really do apologize for the delay. And let me go ahead and close this out. So there we go. Let's look at this. I'm going to set these screens up over here. Here we go. There we go. All right, so yeah, I mean, DGAS, I love the pattern that DGAS had. It's perfect. Pushed up during pre-market hours, pulled back, consolidated right around the middle VWAP, broke above the EMA, and started to trend back up. And that would have been a perfect entry at 28. Pushed up about what was that? So it's pulling back right now. I'm going to see how it performs with natural gas. How is JNUG doing? So let's look up /GC. Showing signs of a strong downward pattern. Wow. So a very strong downward pattern. I'd keep a very close eye out for the price point on where it's at right now. Right around 1310. 1310 to 1310 has been a pretty solid support based on previous patterns. So it would make sense on why it would try to reverse, but as long as it continues this downward pattern, then that definitely makes sense. Let's look at /NG. Let's see if we get rejected. What the heck? All right, let's wait for the confirmation on that. So let's see what's up. Let's change this to live chat. There we go. JDST week. I agree. As long as the patterns continue, I'm all for it. Let's just see how this performs. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put natural gas on my other screen. I'm going to be looking at DGAS and how that performs and kind of go based off of that. So that's going to be the move. What I'm waiting for right now is for natural gas. I'm waiting for this thing to get rejected. Last time it bounced off the bottom VWAP, kind of like it's doing right now, and then it pushed up and then got rejected a little bit above like the EMA in between these two indicators right there. So let's do this. Perfect. All right. There we go. It looks like it's already getting rejected. And there goes DGAS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a buy, edit. I'm going to do a 1,000 share position. And again, this is my opinion. This is not something that I think that anyone has to trade. Level 2, let's see where that's at. It's at 30 already, 31. And it's already pushing up. There it goes. It's already picking up volume. Okay, fill 29, 30. Do you guys see why it is that I'm buying? I waited for the pullback, waited for the bounce around the EMA. It makes sense to me based on the pattern that it's showing. I'm also looking at natural gas on my other screen, which is something that I'm going to pull up right here. So I'm going to unlink this, and I'm going to pull up natural gas. And I'm looking at natural gas getting rejected. There we go. And it's at 28.25. Okay. There we go. JDSC has a very consistent uptrend pattern, doing a very good job holding above the EMA and continuing to push up. So that one's very attractive there. The only reason that I didn't take a position on, actually, I still has quite a bit of margin to still give off if it gets rejected based on previous patterns. Right around this SMA line on the 180-day chart, since it's gotten rejected twice before and it's validated this as a support before as well. But when it comes down to the overall margin that I think JDST has to recover, I don't think it's as much as DGAS I think can push up, because looking at the overall pattern for DGAS, I think that there's a little bit more potential for DGAS or for /NG to continue to sell off. So if we look at natural gas, let's look at it at the 10-day chart. Actually, I'll pull it up on this screen. It did have quite a bit of a sell-off. That's the only thing on why I think it can potentially reverse. But we also got the confirmation that it's now trending below 2.75, which was a pretty solid resistance based on previous patterns. So let's do that technical analysis based on the /NG. Let me just change this time frame over here. Okay, perfect. So looking at the overall time frame right here, just like we called out, like why is it that I saw potential first of all in DGAS, right? Or why did I know that potentially like natural gas was at a peak formation, right? Very simple, by being able to see based on previous patterns, just looking at the range, right, at the lows and the highs, right, within the past 30 days to 60 days. You could see this range of like low from 2.60 to highs of about 2.80 based on previous patterns. It really consolidates between around 2.65 to 2.75. And 2.75 has been a really solid resistance based on previous patterns. And if you guys tuned in for our chat on, what was that? On Friday, we're looking at like, hey, what's the confirmation that we're waiting for and stuff like that. It was actually like catching a support at around 2.75, 2.76, and then that's why we were like, okay, well maybe it would be a smart idea to cover profits, wait for Monday, and then see if it can continue to get rejected, and if it does, then we can choose to get back in. And that's kind of what I'm just doing. I'm just following up with my original plan on Friday that we all discussed and talked about, and that is really just it. So yeah, so we could see that based on the SMA indicator, it still has a lot of margin to go off of. I mean, the SMA indicator is not even a very like valid indicator for this by any means. So I'm gonna look a little bit closer and look at this 90-day chart and see if that's a more valid. Okay, so again, no, I don't see really a pattern there. 20-day, not necessarily. 10-day. They did a pretty good job validating this. EMA line is still pointing down pretty aggressively, and that's pretty solid. I'm just trying to see like where natural gas would potentially catch and when it would make sense for this thing to reverse. So right now we're seeing a little bit of consolidation. So that's what I'm seeing on my other screen. I'm still seeing the EMA line pointing down, and then there being some consolidation here. So still showing signs of a downward pattern. You can look at the 1 day, 1 minute, and maybe this could be a little bit easier to see, like this downward pattern that it has going on. Oh, that scared me. SQ just broke above 48.86. Okay. Okay, yeah, based on the patterns that I see, it would be the potential that natural gas has to continue to trend down to around the middle VWAP, which is or the bottom SMA line, which should be around 2.70. So because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to closely just set an alert at around, yeah, let's see. And also, I'm going to keep a very close eye on these bars. If you guys can see, it's right now showing this peak formation, right? So I want to make sure that the MACD bars continue to extend and don't start to show signs of a curling pattern. Because if we begin to see signs of a curling pattern for natural gas, then that would mean that you know, DGAS is going to be at its peak formation, right? And then we can do a technical analysis on DGAS and see that, hey, is this thing, you know, also showing signs of a peak formation? And, you know, it's never 100%, but sometimes when it, you know, starts to show signs of a potential peak formation, right, then it begins to indicate like when it's about to reverse. And that's very important to keep a very close eye out for and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's definitely something to follow up with. So what I'll do is I'll go on the 1 day, 1 minute chart. We're getting pretty solid consolidation here. Let's see if we actually get a break of pattern, and if so, then I can make the decision then of, you know, if I want to cover profits or cut losses. But overall, I still think that the margin of what's it called? The margin of profit that DS still has to cover is still pretty decent, right? With that resistance at around $30. So I'm just going to set my alerts here, and then we could do a quick little follow-up. So I also got an alert today for Ford. Ford had a pretty solid push up, taking a little bit of a step back. You can see that there was a slight break of pattern. It had that resistance right around 1150, and today it indicated, you know, a break of pattern. It started to push up, and this is a very good sign for Ford. I mean, it's actively pushing up, and if you know, you believe in the company, you believe that it can recover. It's something that it's done before, and it's definitely showing more signs of an uptrend pattern, which is something that's very attractive. So just something to take into consideration. USLV. So USLV ended up getting rejected. So if you guys saw the overall, what's it called, pattern for /SI, which is like the silver ETFs, you could move your attention on over to DSLV, which is the inverse ETF. And that one is still showing signs of an uptrend pattern, still pushing up, and USLV has not reversed yet, and that's why it's very important. Like we're talking about USLV yesterday based on this potential reversal pattern that it has to offer, but it still had a sell-off, and you know it's becoming more on the oversold side. That's great and all. So this is just maybe why we should keep it on high alert for a potential reversal, because there is no reversal just yet. So I think that this one can be a good potential play for this week. Just, you know, it does still have the potential to trade down to $9, which is something that it's done before, and we want to make sure that we catch it when it's trending up. So let's just be patient and wait out for that. So we could even set our alerts maybe when there's a break of pattern and it starts to recover, something that we can take into consideration. So let's see. Yeah, so I did check that out. Let's see. Alerts are keys, are key. I agree. Let's see. What's going on, guys? So out of all the different like ETFs and stocks that we've been talking about, I feel like you guys are also pretty well versed in that, and there's a couple people that are joining us that are new. Is there anything in specific about these ETFs that you guys want me to go into a little bit more detail in? So I want to make sure that I go into like as much detail as possible to my knowledge, right, of what it is that I know. If you want me to explain the pattern a little bit more for a series of these ETFs, if you're having trouble understanding them. In my honest opinion, again, DGAS is actively pushing up. In my honest opinion, yes, it can get rejected buy this SMA line. Something to take into consideration. I am trading this based on the momentum that it has that's pushing up, and also the potential that it has to hit $30, which is a previous resistance that it hit before. That is a risk that I am taking, not something that you guys have to take on yourself. Also for JDST, although it did push up very aggressively, look at that pullback that it just had. And I think that's because /GC is approaching this support that it has at around, what is it, 1310, which is a previous pattern. So although these did aggressively push up, just be careful that you don't get in a little bit too high. And that's all I ask, right? Just be sure that you're trading smart and that you're being consistent, and that's really just it. So we could see that we're getting a slight little push up. And I could see on my other screen right here that natural gas is actually getting rejected, which is something that I wanted to see. And you know, let's see if we can make lower lows here and then higher highs for DGAS. But you know, all is possible. The one, honestly, that and this is me waiting for the reversal. So DGAS and JDST are ones that are actively trending up. So there's going to be pullbacks on the way, and I still find those to be very attractive. USLV, because of that horizontal pattern that it has to offer, because of this horizontal pattern and looking at how low it is and how oversold it is and the margin of profit that we are able to capitalize on within a short period of time, even if it only goes up to 1050, right? Even if it goes up to 1050 and then we get a confirmation at around, like, let's say 990, right, to 1050, within 1 to 2 days, 6%, right? Even 3 days, even within the entire week, 6%. That's a solid margin. And I feel like, in my opinion, as long as it reverses, this is going to be, and it's reversing very aggressively intraday. Look at that. How much margin is that already? That's almost, look at that. Holy crap. What the heck? This is ridiculous. That was weird. Let's see. Appreciate that. Okay, sounds good, sounds good. /CL going up. I'm going to see if there's a pullback confirmation here. It looks like it's picking up very aggressively, though. I don't know if we're going to get a pullback. I understand reading the 1-minute chart. It's the intraday chart that I'm having trouble knowing how to buy it. Okay, I'll get into that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yep, I agree. So it's not that, like, how did I choose like the ETF sector? It was just like, you know, I was trading these series of like ETFs, and I just ended up finding that they offer very consistent patterns and they worked very well with my trading style. So it was nothing like that in specific. So okay, so again, a lot of questions about confirmation and asking like when to get in. Okay, so someone's asking me to check out the 30-day on this. I don't have the 30-day. Is there a specific 30-day 5-minute? Let's add a new time frame. I still don't see a pattern there. I mean, I see it getting rejected by that, but not a very solid pattern. So we got a really aggressive push up. Let's see. So it's starting to kind of push back a little bit. So let's see. All right. And I was going to try to get in right now into USLV, but I don't want to spread myself too thin. But something that I would kind of look out for. So for on this 180-day chart, and it's still actively trending down, so that wouldn't be a good play. It would have been more of an intraday play. I'm going to set my alert for the break above $10, and it's moving pretty aggressively intraday, so I'd keep a very close eye out for this one. But really, it's this range from around like 10 to 10.50 to 10 to $11, right? Just take into consideration that it's gotten rejected right around like 10.75 before, so it doesn't always have to hit $11. Just make sure you take that into consideration. But I feel like this horizontal pattern is very consistent. It makes a lot of sense to me. It's oversold. It's a good deal. It's now just waiting for the confirmation and for that uptrend pattern. And that's why I find this, USLV to be so attractive. But again, it's the confirmation that's going to be everything this week. If we don't get confirmation, then we don't take positions, right? And that's really just it. The margin of profit is there. It can get us, to our weekly goal. But it's just that patience factor that we need to be looking out for to ensure that we actually wait for the confirmation and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I'm just going to set my alert here to see if there is a pullback, to see if I could follow up with it, and maybe we could find for a good, intraday entry, because based on previous patterns, there should be a resistance based on its previous support. And if we're able to catch it here to $10, that's about 3%. And, I've done swing trades where they're 3%. So doing a 1 day, there we go. Just trying to push up a little bit better now. Just a lot of consolidation happening right here. Just not pushing up as aggressively as I would want it to. So to answer the question, because a lot of people have been asking me about confirmation, and there's this, it's, so, man, okay, so for 180 day, I mean, I have a video on YouTube talking about it, but I definitely, I want to there's the three things, right? So that you want to ask yourself, wow, this thing's pushing up pretty aggressively now. So first thing is, you have to understand the pattern and the margin of profit that it has to offer, and that's something that you guys do very well with, right? Understanding the low points and the high points and all that good stuff. The second thing is I want to make sure that it's actively trending up. So on the 180-day chart, waiting for the confirmation, and obviously the candles are trading above this now. So we're all good there. Now the last thing is you want to make sure that you get in for a good deal, right? So even still waiting for the confirmation and stuff like that. USLV just actually had a pullback, so. Let's look at this. What do you guys think about the idea of covering profits on DGAS? I'm not up very much. I'm up $140, covering profits on DGAS and then buying the dip on USLV. Do you guys see the potential for USLV from here to $10? Do you guys see what I'm saying? On why it would bounce, again, bouncing on the EMA line, looking for an intraday play. There it goes. My goodness. What's the margin here? Not as much. There it goes. Okay, but yeah, so pretty much once you see the overall pattern on the 180-day chart that the margin is still worth it, that it's actively trending up, something that you can take into consideration is asking yourself the question of are you still getting in for a good play intraday? So I like to make sure that I'm either trying to get in it when it's above the middle VWAP and above the EMA. So when I saw the overall market open and that it was pulling back and stuff like that, I'm going to have to sneeze in just a little bit. Oh man, I apologize. I'm all over the place today. But something that I like to ask myself is am I getting in for a good deal even intraday, even if it has to be a swing trade? The reason that I ask myself that is, I want to make sure that whatever I'm investing in is still actively trending up, and that's why we could wait for the confirmation and the bounce off the middle VWAP, and then wait for the breakup of the EMA, and then it had a nice little push up. Again, the margin of profit isn't huge there, but it's just these patterns and these understandings of like how to know that you're getting in when it's still actively trending up, and that it still has a range of margin to cover, as in like the margin of profit is still worth it. And you're going to become more familiar with it as you continue to um, trade, and then take on like these patterns that these stocks that offer different patterns, right? And some push up a little bit more aggressively than others, but it's understanding the big picture. It's understanding that, hey, if you're going in for a swing trade, you waited for the confirmation on the 180-day 4-hour chart. Not only just that, but you looked at the intraday charts as well, and you're trading in between the middle VWAP and top VWAP. And then if you want to catch it when it's actively trending up, then you waited for the break above the EMA intraday, and then you're writing it up as it rides up the confirmation. And it's just these series of things of like. It's just something that you'll have to become a little bit more familiar with. I'd be more than willing to work with those that are just getting started, that are having a difficult time to find good entry points and exit points. I mean, that's why we have these chats. You guys are more than welcome to ask me like to share your breakdown. I don't think someone has already their like entire plan, and be like, hey, I really plan on getting into so and so at this price point. Then I'm here to share my opinion. So do you guys mind if you guys give me like 1 minute? I have to blow my nose very quickly. I appreciate that. Sorry, Mohammed. Thank you. Thank you. Can you guys give me 1 quick second? I have to go blow my nose. Okay. You guys are horrible people. You guys always have to make fun of my sneezing, my vocabulary when I say gee willikers. Okay, so natural gas is pushing up a little bit. Where's USLV at? My gosh. Picked the wrong one today. We saw the pattern. Did anyone get into USLV? Look at that gap. And we called it out perfectly. And I'm up over here, breaking even. Oh, I'm up $20. So now I'm down. Okay, so there's a couple of you that in at, okay, wow, you guys got it at a much better price point. Okay, well, I'm really happy to hear that. Approaching the resistance right around $10. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to hit $10. RSI is showing it to be a little bit on the overextended side. And yeah, that's an amazing, I'm super happy for you guys that you guys are able to get in at such a good price point. So keep a close eye out for this SMA line, which is right around $10, which is why I think that it can peak out there. Just be smart. Don't be afraid to cover profits. We could always get back in, right? And it's pushed up pretty aggressively within the past 20 minutes. So don't be afraid to cover profits. We could always get back in. especially as it's approaching an actual valid resistance. And yeah, it's been continuously getting rejected by this SMA line, so it would make sense on why it would get rejected there. So let's see what happens here. Okay, Diaz is pushing back up again. Come on, man. I'm not being very patient either, and that's not a good sign. So okay, so we talked about JDST and that pullback that it's experiencing. Now JDST is trying to reverse back down. It's holding between the middle. So to ask yourself this, like, hey, this is actually a pretty good example. Looking at the 180-day chart, JDST is actively trending up, right? Something that you want to take into consideration. It pushed up so aggressively that now it's pulling back intraday, and you're able to see that maybe like 5 seconds ago when this candle was red, and looking at it intraday, right now it's trading in between the middle VWAP and bottom VWAP, and this is signs of a downward pattern. So if you ask yourself, hey, is this a good price point on where I want to get in? Although JDST is actively trending up on the big picture, it's not actively trending up anymore intraday. And even if you're trying to find for a good deal, the reason why that might not be the best entry point as of right now is because it pushed up so aggressively that it can pull back and then bounce on the EMA line, and that means that it has some margin to give off, and even intraday, right? So you want to ask yourself, hey, is this the best price point to get in? And that's something that you want to take into consideration. Think about how much it's pushed up already. Do you think it has the potential to pull back? In fact, I'm okay with a pullback, but I at least want to get in when it's actively trading up intraday. So these are a series of things that you have to take into consideration. And right now, I would set my alert for this, see if it can, make new highs. But in reality, I think that JDST is a little bit overextended, on the day and stuff like that. It's at a known support for /GC, so then I wouldn't validate it as a huge deal, or as a great deal. I would wait for more of like either like a break of highs of days or something like that to see if it still continues to actively trend up, but just something to take into consideration as you guys become more familiar with, like, hey, as something is actively trending up, there's just these different things that you take into consideration, like as something is actively trending up, has it covered a huge margin within a short period of time, and what's the potential for this thing to continue to still actively trend up? And these are all things that you're going to have to ask yourself in reality, right? And like, sometimes you're going to say yes, and there's going to be a certain reason why on why you think that it still can continue to trend up, and that's what you have me and the team here to branch and share ideas with, and we're all here to learn as well. So just something to take into consideration. I don't want any of you guys to think that you guys are alone or anything like that. We're all here. So it looks like USLV ended up getting rejected and is now pulling back again. Let's see if we could get a bounce again. Waiting for the confirmation. The bounce should be right around 980, just like it's done it before. How many of you guys sold USLV? Did any of you guys sell USLV? Diaz is really struggling to break below that support, break above that resistance. That's weird. I didn't find that to be a very valid resistance. Other than, yeah, no. That's so weird. There we go. Okay, there we go. We're having more of a push up. Why is the price point at that? I thought it was up 140 at 28.40. What the heck is going on here? Guys, was I not up $140 when it was at like 28.40? How am I only up 130? That is so weird. Wow. Okay. You see this EMA line now? It's showing more of a curling pattern. So I think the MACD is also starting to show signs more of a peak formation. There it goes. It actually broke below. I'm not too sure if we're going to actually get a solid break above this time for this second bounce. I think we might end up getting a bounce more along the lines of the middle view up. Let's see what it starts to do. We're at the first sell signal right there. Can we get a bounce? That would be ideal for a lot of people that are still in it. And again, that was a perfect indicator for why it got rejected where it did, and now it's selling off. Yep, it's showing signs of a sell-off now. So we're doing a really good job calling these entries and exits out. I'm really proud of that. /NG still trending down. It's good. JDST, I think, is now about to break above the middle VWAP. Margin there is not huge. It's about 1 to 5% for an intraday play based on intraday highs and stuff like that. So yeah. But also it makes sense on why JDST here can push up. It looks like /GC is getting rejected by the middle VWAP. That's something that I should have taken into consideration. Do you guys see this as this recovered, right? /GC, that means that JNEG recovered from the bottom VWAP. Then it gets rejected here, and then this thing starts to pull back. That means that then JDST begins to recover, and then there's the potential for it to either bounce here or for it to actually continue to trend down and actually make lower lows. So, just something to take into consideration. Yeah, Diaz is showing so it's showing this resistance right around here at around 28.43. I don't know why. I didn't find that to be a very valid resistance. It's showing this potential bull flag pattern, and there it goes. Natural gas is trying to build a very solid support. Yeah, there it goes. So we're going to see a slight little pullback. Man, yeah, USLV trying to consolidate there. JDST building this bull flag pattern with the middle VWAP acting as a resistance. There we go. Later, man. Drive safe. Yeah, I think, but still. So again, Cheech, just to kind of answer your question, that's something that I think people might be asking, like intraday and stuff like that. Hey, what about DSLV, which is the inverse ETF and stuff like that, and this for a potential recovery. The only reason why I wouldn't be so willing to yeah, I mean, I guess it still does make sense. It's pulling back and it's bouncing right around where the EMA line is at and stuff like that. So it makes sense on why there would be a recovery. And this is following DSLV because it's actively trending up. And this is the one that's actively trending up currently. So you would be buying the pullback confirmation on this, and then as it continues, and betting on this thing to recover back to around $26. And that 100% makes sense. I mean, the margin of profit is also there for, with it. The only thing is because USLV is more on the oversold side, then it would make a little bit more sense on, not even make more sense, but just waiting for the reversal here. So I think while we wait for the reversal on USLV, right, because USLV can still get rejected multiple times, right, it was just pushing up. Basically what I was doing was I was waiting for the reversal on USLV, and that's also not a great quality to have. And the reason that I say that is because sometimes you're waiting so much that sometimes you sell it to yourself on when to get into USLV when it's actually DSLV that's still actively trending up. And there's no question about that. There's no break-if pattern here just yet. Even if you bought in at $26 at that peak and it pulls back down to like right here, there's still no break-if pattern. I mean, it's still actively trending up. And it's been doing a very good job with that as it pushes up and then pulls back, pushes up and then pulls back, right? And it's at a resistance that it's been at before, around $26. So we could, extend this. So I'm going to extend this to the right. So it would make sense on why it would get rejected here. But even when it pushes up like that, sometimes it does end up hitting to highs of like, $27. So something that we want to take into consideration. So we can look at it like a little bit closer. We can look at the 10-day. No, not a very valid. No. Let's see. Man, oh, I just saw natural gas like push up pretty aggressively. I kind of like the 15-minute time frame. It gives you a pretty decent understanding on when it's selling off, but even then, maybe the 10-minute would be a little bit better. Do we have a 10-minute? No. So what I'm just trying to see is as it's been actively trending up for DSLV, actually this isn't a bad one. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, right here. So this is the 5-minute 30-day. Okay. And Muhammad is the one that suggested this. So thank you again, Muhammad. And the MACD indicators reacted pretty well to this for the reversal confirmation. So you guys could see when it's actively trending up, you could identify like the low points, and then obviously when it took overextended and stuff like that. So it makes sense on why it's trying to recover. Right now it's still trading below the middle VWAP, and that's even with this 5-minute chart as well. So that's just something that you want to take into consideration. So maybe we could wait for the break above 25.50 and see if this thing's if it actually starts to actively trend up, and as it pushes up, again, it's taken into consideration that this, it might be having just this pullback confirmation, and it still has the potential to hit highs of $26, if not highs of potentially 27 based on previous patterns. So, I still find that to be very attractive as well. But yeah, I mean, that's really just it. So we broke down. I feel like I got into pretty good detail about, why I took a position on DGAS and looking at the overall pattern of natural gas, and seeing the margin that it still has to sell off, which gives potential for DGAS to still gap up, right, to about potentially $30, and looking at it intraday and seeing how it's still trading in between the middle view up and bottom view up and stuff like that, and how that's still showing signs of a downward pattern. It was actively trending down below the EMA, but now it's not. So yeah, but something that we want to take into consideration is as long as it doesn't start to make higher highs, then we should still be good. I mean, it's just pulling back intraday. And then also for like the USLV and DSLV confirmation. So I hope you guys were able to make some money on this reversal or pullback confirmation that we're able to identify. And just set your alerts. You can set your alerts if it continues to trend up, then set your alerts for the break above 980. And then you could follow up with it maybe when it pushes that above $10 and stuff like that, and cover profits then. So, and then we talked about the JDST and JNUG and that correlation there, and how I thought that JDST was a little bit overextended and why it might pull back because of the support at around /GC. Let's follow up with LABU. Yeah, so not a very green day for this one. It's not a very red day either. And this one's definitely a slower moving one anyways. It's getting closer to the EMA line, which is something that we want to see as we get that confirmation of that uptrend pattern. But yeah, not really much going on there. I am not in Gush, no. Your alert went off for DSLV. Okay. So yeah, that is something that we talked about already, Charlie, with the what's it called? I think you might be talking about the EMA. I'm sorry, the SMA, as that might be acting as a resistance. 100%. I just still think based on the margin that natural gas still has to give off, there is still margin for DES to gap up, and based on the consolidation and the range between at around $26 to $30, it's covered that multiple times. So that pattern tends to be pretty consistent, and that's pretty much what I'm trading there. So good call out though. Congrats, Ryan. Let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about PTN then. So, good call out. I think we talked about this one yesterday very quickly. So the SMA line, as you can see, it reacts very well with that. So as it got close to the SMA line, it made sense on why people saw value there. It looks like it's trying to trade above now the EMA, and it's starting to actively trend up. You know, all great in that perspective. It looks like it's now starting to show more signs of an uptrend pattern. So as long as you understand that you're getting in at a good buy, as long as you understand like where you plan to sell, maybe around like 140, 160, whatever the price might be, that range is actually pretty big, especially because it's a $1 stock. My goodness, yeah. So obviously with these lower cap stocks, there's going to be some form of volatility. Let's see how the volume is. Volume is pretty low as well, so something that you might want to take into consideration. But very consistent pattern, so I'm really happy to hear that you're able to call this one out. Again, this is not an ETF, this is an actual stock, so today has to be one of the first green days. So don't feel forced to having to get in or anything like that. But so this is ticker symbol PTN. Very consistent pattern, has been actively trending up for the past at least 180 days, and I think it's pretty easy to identify a good low point, a high point, right, based on previous patterns and this ascending uptrend pattern. So if you're patient and the dollar value that you're investing isn't too aggressive, then I think this would be a great potential like stock to just get a better understanding on when to get in, how to add more to your position, when to cover profits, and if there's a break of pattern, then it's very easy to see if there were to be a break of pattern with this. So that has to be one of the best callouts that we've seen today. So thank you, Jessen. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, I'll take a look at SPY. So it's still showing signs of a descending pattern. Yeah, it's still showing signs of a descending pattern as it's not making higher highs or anything like that. Like, yes, it is recovering, but based on patterns, like it would make sense on why this would not be a good buy and why it would start to reverse. So then that would be in favor of TVIX, and why. Yeah, but I don't like trading any of these. I don't like trading SPY. I don't like trading TVIX. Yeah, no, it's just not my style. But I see more of a descending pattern here with the SMA line pointing down. So yeah, thank you again for calling it out though. Of course, thank you for calling it out, Justin. So GREK. GREK. If you guys have any more callouts, I'll do 2 more callouts, and then we could close out the live stream then. Let's see. So it looks like this was a previous resistance. So I'm just looking at these ranges. Do you guys see how I did that? So it looks like about at every dollar price point. So I caught a support here. This was a resistance, pulls back, pushes up, gets rejected, pulls back, pushes up, gets rejected, pulls back, consolidates, trends down, pushes up, pushes down. And again, how did I know this exactly? I didn't. Again, you become more familiar with these patterns as you start to break down more stocks. So if you didn't see this originally before me drawing these lines, guys, like I didn't either. I just look at previous patterns, and it's just something that you guys have to do time after time, and you know it will become second nature for you guys as well. So it looks like 1050 has acted as a new support. This one's a little bit more volatile. It makes me think that the volume is a little low, and yep, the volume is definitely pretty low. Something that I probably wouldn't trade, but it does offer that range from around $10.50 to about $11.50, about a 10% margin. So I find that to be pretty attractive. And it even has certain resistance levels at around like the every like 50 cents, even at that, right? You could see a previous support at around $10, previous resistance at around like 11. So take that into consideration. It is actively pushing up. That's great and all. Maybe you want to wait for a pullback confirmation. The MACD indicator is in its favor. The RSI is not. But it would make sense on why it can recover to around 1150. But just know that as you're getting up higher within the 1050 to 1150 range, you are becoming more on the overbought side, as it's been at a much lower price point within the past couple of months. So just something to take into consideration. But good call out. Oh, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you again for calling it out. There is, so again, Chris Sylvia. So for those that are asking me about like these mergers and these like what I think about people's like earnings and stuff like that, not people's but companies' earnings, guys, I don't know. I don't really do fundamental like analysis, right? It's not something I really look into. You guys know my trading style, and you guys know that I always wait after earnings and I wait for pullback confirmations, and those are the patterns that I like to trade. So if you want to learn more about it, then look more into what's to be expected for Apple and see if it's something worth investing and worth holding. And if it is, great. And if it's not, then don't invest in it, and just you could wait for the actual announcement. So INTC. So it looks like it had a pretty solid push up just due to the volatility of its earnings. I would like this to get a little bit closer to, I mean, it's not a huge margin, but a little bit closer, come on, a little bit closer to the SMA line and actually start actively trending up. Right now it's actually trending down and it's on a pullback. Do you see this? So it's like, are you trying to get in for a good deal? It's not actively trending up, it's actually pulling back. So I'd like for this to consolidate, because it takes some time to consolidate, and then it pushes up, and it's on that push up that it's an active uptrend stock. So I would follow up with it then, just because it's not actively trending up right now. So I'll do one more call out, and thank you again, Jesse, for making it in the right format. NTLA. Okay, so this one also, this one's pretty low volume. I could, yeah. I don't like these therapeutic companies, and I don't like pharmaceutical companies. I would watch out for this as well. Earnings on the second, that's very close. Last time I had its earnings had a huge sell-off, huge sell-off. It just, even just based on that, like, it just wouldn't make sense on why it would be a good buy, especially because it's so close. I would just say wait for after earnings. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it still has a pretty solid range to go. It's not actively trending up today, so if you believe in the pattern and as long as it continues to hold above the EMA, it makes sense on why LABU could still be a good potential buy. LABD, in my opinion, is not a good buy still, as that one is the one that's actively trending down. Although it's having a somewhat of a green day, it's still actively trending down, and it would make sense on why this thing can continue to sell off. So something to take into consideration. But yeah, that's really just it. So I don't know why I'm like so monotone today. My goodness, I lost like a lot of excitement. I think it's because I'm being a little salty on missing out on USLV and that push up. I need to get over myself. That's so dumb. I don't know. Like I should have done my breakdowns. Honestly, we should have called this one out and set our alerts ahead of time when it broke above 960, because that's when there was a break of pattern, and it broke up and above, and it had a really solid range intraday. But even then, like when we had this pullback confirmation, we all saw it covered around 2.6%. Yeah, but right now it's showing signs of a potential reversal. Again, let's set our alerts here to see if it could actually break above 980. And again, that's for a day trade, 980 to about $10, and see if it actually starts to actively trend up. And if it doesn't, don't force the trade. So that is really just it. So I took a position on DGAS. I'm currently down on this DGAS position. It's actually showing more signs of a reversal and a peak formation, and I could see the natural gas overall ETF, natural gas future still trending down. So that's something that I'm taking into consideration. So I'm keeping a very close eye out on that. And I'll keep you guys up to date with everything that is that I plan to cover and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely need chocolate milk. Yeah, so let's do a quick follow-up. Sorry. I was gonna say holy crap, but yeah, DRN is actively pushing up. That's actually really nice to see. It definitely is overextended. I think that based on previous patterns, it pulls back pretty aggressively. I need this thing to start pulling back and holding above the SMA line. It's making higher highs, and that's something that we find very attractive. And again, the inverse of DRN is DRV, so just something to take into consideration. As this thing is hitting its peak, that means that DRV should be hitting its bottom before it begins to reverse. But again, this is showing now more signs of a descending pattern, and DRN is showing more signs of a trying to uptrend. So great call out, and let's end it at that. So Kevin, no need to worry. Thank you again. I think you mean I have SI as my silver future. You have /CI? Well, I think it might have been a spelling error on yours. We already talked about that. Do you see how SI is at the bottom, right, of the at a common support? Doesn't mean that it actually has to bounce here, but that's why I was so in favor of USLV. That's why I'm keeping I think USLV, like, I will end up taking a position on this either tomorrow or the next day. I just needed to break above $10. So we have really good stocks to look forward to. Yeah. It does, yeah. I don't know what it is. I actually got much more sleep last night than I normally do. Um, so I don't know what it is or why it is that I'm being like um, a little like, I don't know. I fell asleep at like 12 and I woke up at 5:30 and then I went back to sleep. Unfortunately, I think it was that. I got pretty upset with myself that I went back to sleep. Um, I don't know if you guys were able to tune on in, but like I set my alarm for 5:30 in the morning because market opens here at 6:30. I set my alarm and I again still had an hour till market open. I still had 30 minutes until I actually had to be like at my desk, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna close my eyes for about 15 more minutes, and then I was like 1 hour later is like when I woke up and stuff like that. That's one of the worst things that I can do. So um, DGAS is back above 2830. So what is the plan for the day? Ricky Gutierrez. So that's actually a pretty good question, Sammy. What is considered a low volume? So that's something that you'll be able to see. So if you look at the 1 day 1 minute chart, you'll be able to see like the candles that offer very low volume because they're very scattered and all over the place, and sometimes there's not really like sometimes they're also just like the whiskers themselves or the crosses as they like to call them. So you just have to become a little bit more familiar also with like overall general volume, so you could see like the volume bars and seeing like what's the average volume, and you could see like when there's huge price increases, and you could see the volume spike as well. That's sometimes signs of manipulation. I have a video in the course actually covering that, so be sure to review that if you haven't already. Yeah, 100%. So RJ or our junior saying market bell woke me up, missed out on a lot of opportunity. So DSLV is pushing up above 2551. Okay. And Yeah, we definitely missed out. I missed out on a play on DSLV. I missed out on a play on Diaz. I missed out on a play on JDST. A lot of the plays that we called out, but it's my fault. And it's not like we have no more opportunity throughout the week. I'm pretty excited for USLV and when that thing it does end up reversing and stuff like that. So I have some of you guys telling me to get more rest and yeah, Ricky sleeps. So what's the plan for the day? I'm gonna respond to a couple Discord messages. I'm gonna prepare for the live stream today for the TechBot Solutions and YouTube group. I have a lot of work that I have to do for the Flipping Wheels course. We're doing like a restructuring in, there was actually an error so for those that are part of that course as well, I do want to apologize. There was an error with our website. We actually lost, what's it called? I don't want to say like our Teachable thing got hacked, but there was like, I was going back and forth with Teachable as we lost access to the actual course and we couldn't actually, there's like, yeah, so it's very difficult to get in contact with the people that are part of the course and updating the course, and there were some things that were moved around. So I put everything back into place today, but for what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be offering a challenge for the people that are part of the Flipping Wheels course. I'm going to offer like a 60-day challenge and saying that for all those that enroll within the first 60 days, as you complete the course after that starts, that if you don't flip your first car or motorcycle and profit off of it within the first 60 days, that will give you a refund in the course and stuff like that. So I'm really excited. I really believe in the system that we have for the buying and reselling, and I find it to be one of the easiest markets to be able to capitalize on. And the only thing with that is it's just like finding the deals, and it's a little bit like you might be asking, well, if I find it so easy, why isn't it that I just do that? It's just there's a lot more like hands-on labor that I have to do, and with stocks and stuff like that, it's much easier for me to trade and not have to like actually go out of my way and work with people. Does that make sense? Like in person and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really just it. So I'm pretty excited. We have quite a bit of people that are direct message me. We're going to be offering like a sale on that course as well, stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it, the plan for the day. And I'm going to be uploading one more video. I think I could be uploading it today for the Learn Plan Profit course, and I'll have that. I'm actually doing restructuring for the Learn Plan Profit course. Yeah, but I'll tell you guys more about that later. Nothing crazy. As in like I'm just reorganizing the videos because they're all set in it. Yeah, so you guys know what it should be. There's a lot of like you guys, when you guys click on the basics section, you guys have to scroll down and you guys can't see the titles of the video. I'm gonna fix that, but unfortunately, like I can't just. It's not just as easy as like, okay, put a title and stuff like that. Like have to remove all those videos and then re-upload each one of them, and some of them are 30 minutes long. So it's going to take me like all day and stuff like that. But I definitely want to make sure that it's structured and organized for each and every single one of you. So that's something that me and Justin are going to be knocking out. But Justin's still asleep. So I'm going to wait for him, and I'm just going to respond to messages for the meanwhile. So yep, that is it. So thank you guys again so much for your time. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. If you guys have any questions, I'd encourage you to either reach out to me or Justin. And because of that, yeah, so I'll follow up with you guys later on, like if there's any change of pattern or anything like that when it comes down to my position on DGAS, and also any update on USLV, as that's going to be like I think my top stock that I see valuing for this week. So yeah. Oh, when is the new YouTube channel coming out? First link. Yes, that is actually something like that first link that I shared. It was not a valid link. That's actually crud. That is actually something that I have to do. So guys, and that's going to be absolutely like one of the best videos that, yeah, like I'm ever going to have. So yeah, let me go ahead and I'm actually going to get that set up and see if I can get that video uploaded within the next hour. So we'll see you guys later, guys. Continue working hard, continue following your dreams, let your passion be what drives your success. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on the green note. Take it easy, team.